All right, here we are again. This is the week 3 recording for the Ideal Estate Ponoisms Mastery course on how to take more listings in the market. You asked for it, and here it is. Again, thank you so much for the attendance. Every single week, the audience is growing. People are loving the content, and I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's so much fun to present to a lot of people, and you all have great questions. This week was all about setting appointments that'll actually show up, how to use the Setting the Solid Appointment script, and I've got the scripting for both documents right in the email as promised. Enjoy.
Whoops. Happy Thursday, everybody. We got a few more people popping in. For those that do not know me, my name is Josh Pono, and I run a real estate office out in San Diego. I'm still in production about 60 to 70% of the time. I'm a nationwide trainer for my franchise, and I believe in sales development, not sales training. Sales training is here's a training, go get something from it, hopefully. And development comes from getting rid of bad habits, implementing good habits, and ultimately elevating our skill set and our mindset and our alignment and attraction of business to ultimately go out and get the big life that we want. I am a director of training for Ideal Estate. Sean and I met through some mutual acquaintances. I used to sell websites to real estate agents and do lead gen at Boomtown and KV Core and Inside Real Estate and Agent Jet. And so my first year in real estate, I got in and I knew everything that I could possibly need to know, right? I went out and did a bunch of lead gen. I sold 33 homes and it was internet leads and it was cancel and expires. And then I realized I actually knew nothing about real estate and had to learn how to actually run a transaction. All right. So the first week we talked about the cold call conversion and why it's so important to get out of the process of approaching these people like complete strangers and trying to build that relationship from being super cold all the way into, hey, we're friends, my guard is down, and we're having an open, relevant, valuable conversation. And the way we do that is through familiarity, through authority, through a mindset of assumption. Of course, they're going to talk to us. Of course, we can help them. If they were to get out of their own way, we could perfectly prescribe exactly how to get the results that they want. And we do that through layering phenomenal questions. And last week, we talked about using the right depths and layers to the conversation to get into the meat and potatoes. And that's really where a lot of the ahas and the development come. We start to, please move my camera so you can see the face. How about that? So a lot of the situation, you know what? Get on my high horse. So a lot of the conversation ahas and breakthroughs and appointments that we have come from those conversational layers that get a few deep. And an example of that is when somebody says, I want to move because I have to upsize. Well, what about the current pain and where they're at now is holding them back from moving forward? Or what is so bad about having to share a bedroom with the kids? Or, all those things that really are not just that surface layer, but the lower levels. And inside of module 9 is all about how we get to those breakthroughs. And a lot of it comes from listening, not for what we're going to say next, but listening for what the true hot buttons are. Because if I'll give you an example, like if I'm listening to somebody and they're saying, hey, I want to move to this place because of XYZ reason, and I am waiting for my turn to speak so that I can say, oh, that's fantastic. Tell me why that's important. I may miss a heightened tonality on like one of the financial parts of the conversation. Well, it's been really tough with this, and this, and we want to move to get to a bigger place. I'm like, okay, great. Let's talk about the bigger place. But I missed the real motivator, which was the money, this financial burden of this, and this is why we want to sell and go somewhere else. And it wasn't really necessarily the desire to go somewhere else, but it was the desire to relieve the financial burden. And so when we're listening, we want to be able to have all this stuff internalized so that when we're finding this pain beneath the surface, we're free to really listen to them and then offer them solutions. And the key elements of offering them solutions is that we want to remind them that they've got a pain, and the next time we're going to speak, we're going to fix that pain. Okay, so if we've heard the saying, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? The same thing's appropriate when we're working with clients and we're trying to set new appointments. And let's be very, very clear.
the number one reason why you can have lower stress in your business if you're constantly setting new appointments for business, right? Like when it comes to everything that's all said and done, if we are setting more appointments and we are consistently meeting 2 to 3 new buyers, new sellers every single week that are motivated and qualified to buy, all the other stuff just goes away. And then we truly become entrepreneurs where we can start to hire and add systems. And so the number one skill set that we can focus on, the number one thing that we can drive our goals to is how do we set more appointments with the conversations that we're having every single day. Okay. And that is the rinse and repeat formula. Find a pain that they have. I'll give you an example. So I'm working with an internet lead from Realtor.com, and the Realtor.com lead, I reach out to him and he's looking for a house that's about 900,000. Please move your camera to see your face. Gotcha. Perfect. He's looking for about a $900,000 home, and I start to have a conversation with him, and he has a home to sell, but he doesn't want to sell the property because he's nervous that if he sells the property, he won't be able to find a replacement property for the inventory, right? And so as I'm listening to him, I'm realizing that he does not have a full understanding of the California contracts and how we can layer the contingencies to truly protect him and just make sure that we set up with the buyer that we get extensions or the right to extend, or we move the process forward so that they're locked in with their inspections, their appraisal, their loan contingency, so we can truly make an offer that is contingent on the replacement property, but all the contingencies are removed. So now all of a sudden, a pain in the business of trying to get an offer accepted with a contingent seller or a contingent buyer is all of a sudden much easier, because now the whole thing has been flipped on its head. Now I can say, listen, we're better than a non-contingent offer, because if we don't buy this house, we have to start all the way over again. We have to start. So you're best to take this offer. Now that's the value and the pain that I can offer, and we can salute. Great. So thank you. So we know that we have that value that we can offer, but if I just go start spouting off about how that process is going to alleviate that pain right then and there, what's the incentive to meet with me? Or when I get there, what am I going to talk about? So rather than do that, I say, hey, it sounds like you're really confused about how do you do this all so it clicks together like a well-built puzzle. How do you do this without stress? How do you ensure that you sell your home for the most amount of money and then go get the replacement property for the least amount of money, make sure that everything just boom, 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 like a perfect set of dominoes that just got knocked down? Is that right? He's like, yeah, absolutely. I say, hey, fantastic. If I could show you a few different strategies within the California contract that ensure you have the utmost confidence in the process and accomplish just that, and I could do it in 15 to 30 minutes over a cup of coffee at your house, or soda or beer, whatever you prefer to drink, would that be something of value to you? He's like, well, yeah, absolutely. I said, great. The next time I see you in person, I'll make sure to cover the top 3 strategies that every contingent seller has to have in place to ensure that none of your nightmares become reality. Sound good? Yeah, that sounds great. Hey, let me ask you this. Other than the nervousness, and then I continue to go back in. Okay, I've got a value. I've got something that I've grabbed from him. I've let him know that the next time I meet, we're going to speak about that. And then I go in a look, because something else that you mentioned to me was interesting. You mentioned that when it comes to making offers, you were confused, and just go back into that conversation, right? Because I want to get 2 or 3 major value props so that when I go to set the appointment with them, I have something that they're like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. I would love for that to happen. And then once I do that, I go into setting the solid appointment, right? And the setting the solid appointment script, did somebody have something they wanted to ask about that or say something about that? Little mustache there from a protein shake, huh? I hit the gym in the middle of the day to break everything up. I'm going to share my screen. We got some scripting and stuff. Let me know. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So when we want to set solid appointments, you want to find a few of their hot buttons, right? And you want to remind them that when we come over to solve those challenges, we actually have the ability to solve those challenges and let them know that we're going to handle that at the time. Okay. And so when I go into this situation, we got somebody's mic. Let's go like this.
Who's got some background noise? Hey, what's up, Justin? All right. We want to remind them of what their hot buttons are. Hey, the next time we speak, or hey, when I come over, you mentioned you want a realtor who does the best marketing. You mentioned that the last agent didn't communicate with you or help you understand what was going on. You felt like you were constantly have to chase them for answers. You don't feel like they were working hard enough for you. You feel like they were hiding behind the cantaloupe, so to speak. And you also wish you had some more feedback when it comes to showings and all this. And by the way, if anybody's working listings, I got to tell you, one of the greatest value props that you can offer your clients is constant communication. Even if there is no communication, I am able to build so much pain around expired listings and canceled listings. I'm able to build so much pain off of one simple thing. When somebody goes and sees the property and they go to get showing feedback, and you call the agent or you go to get feedback from the agent and they don't respond, and then your clients ask you, hey, why didn't they buy the home? And you say, oh, it just wasn't the right fit. There's so much pain to build around that. I'll give you what happens on the other side, just so you guys can understand how important it is. Like when I get listings and I get showings and they're not buying, I call the agents. If the agents ignore me, I call them again. If the agents don't respond, I text them. And if they don't respond after the third or fourth time, I literally send them a text that says, hey, you know what it's like to have a seller that wants to know I'm doing my job. I've reached out to you 4 times. I already know the buyer's not interested in buying. Other than it not being the right fit, can you tell me why you guys didn't like the property enough not even to respond to me as one professional realtor to another? And guess what? They almost always respond after that. And if they don't respond to that, I just send them a period in the text. Like, we're all in it together. Give me some feedback. Because here's what happens. They go in there and I say, hey, out of curiosity, why didn't the property sell? And they go, I don't know. I said, how many showings do you have? We had 15 or 20 showings. What'd the agent say on why it didn't sell? Well, they really didn't. What was the feedback on the showings? I didn't have any. Whoa. Hold the brakes. Hit the brakes. Stop the car. You're telling me right now that you had a real estate agent hired to do their job. They got 20 showings and all of them said that just wasn't the right fit. That was what they said. Well, yeah, they said the agents didn't respond to their calls. Well, what about on the 4th call? What did they say on the 4th attempt? So wait a minute, you had 20 people that came through. It was the right bedrooms, the right bath, the right criteria, the right neighborhood. They liked the photos. They got in their car. They paid $5 a gallon in California. They drove down to the house. They spent 30 minutes going through with the realtor. And then they just said it wasn't the right fit. Really? Was that satisfying to you as the homeowner? Do you feel like that was like enough? And the answer is always no. I wish I would have known more. Gotcha. No wonder you're frustrated and thinking about using a different real estate agent. So the way you counteract that and give phenomenal service is you say, hey, listen, I called the 3 agents. They didn't respond. I'm texting them. I'm calling them. They're busy. Most likely it means the buyer isn't going to be buying the property. And I want to get that relevant feedback for you, because the more you know, the more we know, which means the better we can market the property. And if we need to make any adjustments because the market is speaking to us, it's my job to find you that information. And the clients are like, oh, thank you so much, Josh. I'm on it. And then I just text the agent, hey, man, give me a call. Hello. Okay. One of those things right there, it made the list of, hey, I will get you feedback. I will make sure you are the most educated, the most informed homeowner in the neighborhood. You will know exactly what the market's saying about your property every single minute. That's my job. Okay. And once you have those hot buttons, 2 or 3 is good enough. Sometimes 1 is good enough. Once you have 2 or 3, you come in and say, hey, listen, I'm excited to meet with you. This is a whole presentation, right? Because nothing's more frustrating. I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. We get this really, really awesome appointment. We're excited. We prep all day. We get ready to go. We call them, they don't answer. We call them, they don't answer. We go there, they don't show up. We've all been stood up, right? And it's not fun, and it's a waste of time. So when I go to set the appointment, I let them know, like, hey, I'm excited to meet with you. And based on our conversation, you're looking to partner up with an agent who can deliver these 3 things. Okay. You also want to make sure you don't experience these things which gave you the results that you're looking for. A completely different system. Our entire system, it's hassle-free. It allows you to get all of this and more. And when we meet in person, I'm going to make sure you know exactly how we're going to handle this every single day with not only our past clients, but our current clients that are working in this market.
Okay. When I go to set the appointment, I want to make sure that especially if we're doing cancel and expired, I do not want to just assume that I'm the only one who was graced and lucky enough to get in the door. And I'll tell you why. Even if somebody says, I'm only going to interview one agent, I was only going to interview one, or I already interviewed one, I'll just interview one more. Every single time I've crushed it on the call. This happened. Diana Soto's in this call. Diana is an agent in my office. Her and I just went on a listing appointment. It was a cancel and expired. She said she was going to hire this agent that had been endlessly following up for 7 or 8 months. We called. She got her on the line. We got on the phone. We did a really good job at creating pain. We convinced her that she should not just hire that agent that was already in her mind. She should compare apples to oranges, so to speak, or apples to apples. We got our foot in the door. We delivered a phenomenal presentation. We convinced her that she should not hire the other one and that we were a better fit. But we also convinced her that, well, if I'm going to interview 2, I might as well interview 3. So we ended up taking the listing. We got the listing. It's going to be a sale and then a buy. It's worth about $1.3 million in production. But you have to understand, in canceled and expired, they are going to talk to other people, right? And so you want to say, hey, when did you plan to I appreciate you allowing me to be one of the very few selected agents that are coming over to the property. When are you interviewing the agents? When were your plans? Okay. Have you set any of the appointments yet? How many are in stone right now? Great. When did you want to have everything decided upon by? Awesome. Grab your calendar and let me know when you have it. Okay. Successful people operate off of calendars, whether it's a Google calendar or it's this or that. Even if like everybody's got a little bit of a time management system, even if it's not dialed in, and state that and then just let it hang. Don't ask, do you have your calendar handy? Nah, it's on the desk 4 feet away. It's not very handy. Don't ask them if they have it. Just say, hey, great, grab your calendar and let me know when you have it. And then go quiet. And I'll even go like this sometimes. All right, grab your calendar when and let me know when you have it. I'm grabbing mine. All right, got it. Do you have yours? Like, sell it. This is where selling happens. Not in the convincing them to sell or to buy. Like, not, and we don't do that, but we make the little sales that make the big answers easier. This is one of the sales. Get in their calendar. There's a psychological buy-in. I don't know about you guys, but when I write something in my calendar, it's like it's there. And when I review, it's like, that's what we're doing. It might as well be in stone. Good thing I use a pencil though. All right, going in here, you find the time. Hey, all right, so Saturday, would you prefer a weekend or would you prefer nights? Oh, I prefer a weekend. Great. The last appointment's at 2 on Saturday. Oh, that's fantastic. I've got 3 and 4 available. Which works best for you? I want to typically go last, personally. There's a saying out there, go first or last. I don't like being in the middle. I mean, you can still win in the middle. When we did the listing presentation with Diana on Thursday, we were in the middle. But it's better to go last. Most recent in the mind, best ability to try to close right there. They can't say, well, we got more people to meet. That's a stonewall condition that's challenging to get around consistently. But once you get that time, great. I have 3 or 4. Which one works best for you? Awesome. Listen, I have you in my calendar. I'm going to reach out to you with a phone call confirmation the morning of. We're going to cover why the home didn't sell. We're going to talk about our exclusive strategy that'll ensure that you get your home sold for the most amount of money with the least amount of stress on your preferred timeline. Our goal is to offer such amazing service and give you such a great experience that you're compelled to work with us. Sound good? Awesome. Other than the 3 topics that we know we're going to cover that are super important, did you have any other questions along the lines of information or questions for me that I haven't answered yet? All right, fantastic. I look forward to meeting you with you and your husband or you and your wife on Saturday at 4 p.m. Have a phenomenal night. The main takeaways that even if you completely jumble this whole thing up, you mess it up. If you always get them to put the time in the calendar, you'll increase your show rate by at least 10, 15, 20%. Always remind them of why you're going to meet with them and how it's going to solve their problems. Constantly say when we meet, next time we meet. Hey, when we meet on Saturday, hey, the next time we meet on Saturday, I'm going to cover. Make sure you get the confirmation that the decision makers, hey, I noticed on title, so-and-so is also a decision maker. I'm assuming they'll be there as well. By the way, that's how I say it. I don't ask it to be, hey, I'm assuming that they're, I looked on title, or, hey, I know my wife would never allow me to sell my home on my own without talking to her. I'm assuming yours works the same way. So she'll be there at that time. That'll work for her as well. I should have put when they interview multiple agents. It's very, very, very rare. Even in my most successful listing calls where they just bought into everything, you know, they thought I was the bee's knees or whatever it is. We connected on a personal level. Like it was just like a match made in real estate heaven. Even then, out of hundreds of appointments, I can't remember any time where they're like, yeah, I just interviewed you. Maybe once or twice on like some properties that nobody wanted. Like this 11-acre there's no road, there's no easement, there's no access. They bought it for $8,000. He wanted me to throw it on the MLS for 150. And he just liked my script and was like, if you can sell like that, you can have the listing. But that's like literally the only time. Everything else has always been multiple interviews. Questions on this? All right, so Module 11 is all about what to do when they say send me some info, right? And so when it comes to the send me some info, you got to understand that it's really just a knee-jerk reaction. It's really just a way to get us off the phone pretty quickly, right? Like if you're making phone calls to outbound prospects, whether you're circle prospecting, whether you're, I mean, send me some info is one of the oldest, so like objections in the book. And sometimes, you know, we get into the habits of we're like, oh, okay, cool. I'll send you a handwritten note card, or I'll send you a, business card in the mail, or what's your address? And we go down that road, and that's great and all. And if we're going to do that, in my opinion, it has to be almost like an interview, right? When they say, send me some information, we want to make sure that we get them to a place where they see what we're offering them and that there's something of value and relevancy. Because if you're going after, open house buyers and you're sending them stuff on multi-units, it's probably not a good fit if they were a single family home or a condo. If you're going after sellers and you're sending them information about, low inventory and how buyers are struggling to find properties, it's not very relevant. When you're focusing on canceled and expired properties, they have questions. They have questions that need to be answered. Like, why did my home sell? And they don't get a lot of relevant information, or, what went wrong in the process, or what part of the process could have been better, or where did the agent mess up? Was it me? Was it the market? Was it the information? Did we have a pricing strategy issue? And, what do we do next from here? I didn't get what I wanted. A lot of them feel like just because one agent couldn't get them to the finish line, that's what all agents are a part of, right? Like where, hey, well, it just didn't work out. And, it's a nice agent. They did a good job. And, there's not much an agent can do, right? Like what, listen, you guys are all about the same. And you can always ask them a question. One of my favorite questions to ask them, that when you get somebody, whether it's a FSBO or a canceled and expired or a circle prospect, and they're like, it doesn't really matter what agent you use. I'll ask them a question. I'll say, hey, have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? Yeah. It's where 80% of the business is done by the top 20%. If everybody does the same, why is the income so unequal? If everybody's got the exact same skill set, if everybody's got the same exact experience, then why is it that top producers earn hundreds of thousands of dollars more a year than the newer agents? Why is that? And you let it sit for a minute. Because they don't have a good answer, and they'll come up with something that's just, again, another statement that they throw out, like, well, all agents are the same. Well, I can appreciate that 80-20 rule. And you go through that and you say, so let me ask you this. What if you knew that you had one of the agents that was doing the 20% of the business, and they weren't very skilled and experienced. Would you be open-minded enough to have another conversation? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, send me some information. Hey, that's awesome. So listen, a lot of agents are going to send some generic information. They might send you their business card. They might say, they might talk about, their sales record and this and that. Just so you know, we're completely different, and we specialize in helping homeowners just like yourself find the best agents so that your home never expires or cancels again. And most importantly, you get it sold. What's your best email address? And I don't ask them, would they give me their email address? And I just flow with it. Say, hey, fantastic. You told me to send you some information. I'm going to go ahead and assume you meant by email. And I'm going to state that confidently so that you have to make an awkward decision to tell me no if you don't want to do it. Okay, I cannot follow up with somebody if I don't have the best information. I already got the phone number. I'm already on the phone, so I might as well get the email. I've got the home address, right? I've got all that stuff, and I may even have the mailing address. So if I get the email address, then that's that last piece that I can grab. Hey, great, just so you know. And then I go into a little sales pitch, because a lot of agents will say, hey, no problem, I'll send you something in the mail, and then I'll follow up with you. And what they're hoping is they're going to stop the call because we don't want to upset the prospect. They said, send me some information. And so we want to go a little bit further. We want to go for the appointment, but we also don't want to mess stuff up. That's a mindset of scarcity and a fear of losing. One of my favorite sayings in sales is you can't lose what you don't have. It's not yours. You haven't got the appointment. You haven't got the listing. You can't lose it. And more often than not, when we operate, it's like in professional sports, if we play not to lose, then we end up losing, right? And if we play not to upset them, then we end up not building value with them. And so I go into a conversation with them and focus on, here's what you can expect from me. Here's some expectations that I will deliver on. Here's why I'm going to execute at a high level. And I use the scripting in front, just, hey, great, follow-up and punctuality are of the utmost importance to me. And our clients love us for it. Okay, I'm going to send you a little something in the mail. Keep an eye out for it. It should arrive within about 5 to 7 days. I'm also going to send you an email and a text so you know exactly who to look for and who I am when you need it. Okay, and then I have a couple of breakdowns, because sometimes if you're using a CRM that has a smart number where everything's automatically connected, it's different than your cell phone. You have to address that issue when you're doing follow-up, because all your follow-up should be inside of the CRM. Right? So like when I'm in KV Core, they use a smart number. And so they have this great functionality where I can come in here and I can text directly through the CRM. And I can come in over here and say send text and type, but it's going to come from my smart number. So I have to make sure you can say, yes, we all have to be licensed, but similarity ends here. Everyone's skill set is not the same. Yeah. Otherwise, you get that weird kind of like, well, whose number is this? Well, why does it, have to say that, you can stop or unsubscribe? And so when we go through it inside of the script, it's like, I got so many tabs. Hey, great. Just so you know, and what I do is I tell them it's my direct line for sellers. I say, hey, listen, just so you know, I've got a special phone number directly for my sellers, specifically for the people just like you who had a property on the market. It's my #1 specialty. So I'm going to send you a text message. It's coming from that direct line. And the reason why you should respond to that line is I've got my app set up to it. I've got my website set up to it. Like that thing goes off 3 or 4 times. That's how important your responses are to me. I've got like 3 or 4 notifications. At the moment it goes off, I'm all over it. Save that number. Josh Pono, funny cold calling real estate agent. Go ahead. Make sure you put the funny cold calling real estate agent. I'm the one that's going to send you the information in the mail. Okay. And then what we send them in the mail, I think I showed you guys this last time. We use thanks.io through a Zapier integration. So KV Core, and if any CRM, Follow Up Boss or KV Core or Sync, if you have a Zapier integration, you can most likely integrate thanks.io, but we send them a handwritten note card that's automated with a QR code for a Starbucks gift card, a $10 gift card. And so when they do that, we click on the button, it sends it over to KV Core, it fires off the initial call, and then there's a whole string of videos. So I built this funny website too, agentsstopcalling.com. I built this website because I like trying different things and taking different approaches. And so like there's times where people are like, I hate real estate agents. They keep calling me. I'm like, cool, I built a website called agentsstopcalling.com. Go there
and it's got all the information of when they're calling, why they're calling, what their scripting is going to say, how to set up text message automated responders, all that kind of stuff. There's a video of me making sure that you understand exactly why people are calling, etc. Blah, 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 blah. And if you find that information valuable, there's some videos on the bottom that can tell you why your home didn't sell. And it's a pick your own adventure style website where, you know, if they're looking for a new agent, it also has a lead gen page where it'll come through and showcase some videos. So one of the things that I would encourage people to do is, and it takes time, right? Like, but if you're working with any type of lead and they have the same questions, then make some videos. Make some videos of the content. So for expired listings, you know, it's like, all right, your home just didn't sell. What are the first thing you should do is you should ask your agent these three things. Like, if the agent didn't get the job done, in my opinion, if my grandmother called me, which she called me when somebody didn't sell her home, I said, look, you got to ask these three questions. You got to ask, you know, why didn't the house sell? You got to see if they can be accountable. You can see if they can be strategic. What are you going to do to change the results? Why did you recommend your price and not get it? What happened in the market that you didn't catch? Like, there's all these layers of accountability questions that if like we were really trying to fix what happened, we would ask. And the real cool part about that is oftentimes when listings don't sell, agents, in my experience, they kind of just throw their hands up. Oh, well, I tried, and they don't close out the relationship. And if they would just close out the relationship, I feel like if, you know, and if as an agent, yeah, you will. Sean's going to email out the scripts and stuff too from the course. So I feel like if agents just went to them, and I've had a few listings where they didn't sell, and I said, hey, listen, you know, I was really trying to get you your price. I was pushing. Everybody was saying that we were just a little bit overpriced. I tried to leverage this. I tried to do this. I tried to change the photos. These are all the things. And you know what? I just didn't get the job done. I'm really sorry. I know you really want to do. I knew we were going, you know, like, and just have that come to Jesus talk, so to speak. I think that people can respect that. And I think that people give us way less credit than we deserve. And they're willing to make more excuses for us than, you know, to some of these prospects, it's the market's fault. It's not even the agent's fault. So a lot of times agents don't do that. And so it's like, hey, here, before you just hire the same old agent that was the one that took the listing agreement, that promised to sell it, that didn't sell it, before you go back to market with them, there's three questions you should ask them. I'm not saying you shouldn't hire them. I'm not saying you should fire them. I'm saying these are the three questions you should ask them. And you should look to see if they're confident. You should look to see if they got a plan, or if they're just kind of making stuff up, or if they blame everybody else. That's not a good sign either. They had a hand in it. Takes two to tango. Okay. Now, once you've seen that video, you want to ask the three questions of ask the next agent. And here's three reasons why properties don't sell. One of the scripts that I use, speaking of, like, you know, so every now and again when you're calling these properties, you'll get somebody that you say something confidently, and now they want to break you down because you're like, hey, you know, what are you going to do differently to get the home sold? I'm going to get it sold. I'm going to actually sell it, and you're going to have a great experience, and you won't have the same experience. Oh yeah. Why didn't my home sell then if you're so good? And what a lot of agents do in that position is they literally, they try to put it on the back burner. Well, you know, I haven't walked the property. I can't see the property. You know, I'd love to come by and get in. Then I could tell you, I could do a presentation on why it didn't sell, and I could do all that stuff. That's not what they want. What they want to know is that you're an expert in your field. And so one of the things when somebody challenges me like that, rather than try to, thanks, Michael, I appreciate that. It's Ponoisms, like Bushisms, but Ponoisms. So one of the things that I like to do is I simply say, you know, listen, I know, and I use this as a script, right? And you guys can too. It's like, listen, a lot of agents, the moment you put them on stage and ask why didn't the home sell or what makes you special, they're going to go about bragging themselves, or they're going to tell you why they can't tell you over the phone because they haven't seen your property. And I can tell you for a fact, without a doubt, because I've been doing this so long, that there's three reasons why your home didn't sell. Now, I'll be able to tell you what percentage went into that formula, so to speak. Sometimes it's not an equal third. Sometimes it's one, not the other. But I can tell you that within 5 minutes of walking into your property. And I may even be able to tell you within a few questions over the phone. But there's three reasons why a home doesn't sell. The number one reason, price. Oftentimes, agents will list properties too high. Notice I didn't say the seller chooses the high price.
I don't want to I don't want to agitate their defense mechanisms at this point. I just want to eloquently give them some information that is different. Number one, price. A lot of agents don't want to tell you that. A lot of agents will pick the price to try to get the listing, and then they unfortunately overshoot, and they're nervous that if they told you the wrong price, you wouldn't hire them, or if they told you the right price, you wouldn't hire them because it was too low. Okay, number two is location, right? And that kind of goes back to price as well, though, because if it's priced right for the location, it'll still usually sell. Okay, people love buying real estate. There's a good demand still, even though it's not as hot as it was once a few years ago. And the third one is condition, right? The third one is condition. But again, that kind of goes back to price too, because if it's priced right for the condition, so one of those things are in the formula. Now the kicker, the asterisk, the fourth reason, the hidden behind the Wizard of Oz drapes, so to speak, that nobody really wants to talk about is the agent. I guarantee you within a few minutes of having a conversation, there were 3 to 4 areas where the agent did not do the right thing, or maybe let something fall through the cracks. Why can I say that confidently without bad mouthing anybody? Because if you price the property right, at least in our market in San Diego, the thing sells. And I'd imagine it's with this inventory, even if interest rates are high, yeah, well, if you're priced for market value, including the interest rates, it's still selling very quickly. Homeowners like agents that are accountable. By the way, that's a really great question you can ask a seller if they're talking about how, it wasn't the agent's fault, and it was the market's fault, and it was the interest rates. You can do a couple different things where you talk about, well, if it's the interest rates and everybody's facing them, why did 9 out of 10 new properties that came to the market sell last month and yours didn't? They all were facing the same rates. The other thing you can do when they talk about it, you can ask them the question. This is one of my favorite. Hey, do you think a level of a layer of extreme accountability with the real estate agent who represents you is important for business? Do you feel like being accountable in a business relationship is important and valuable? Do you feel like accountable people come up with solutions or make excuses? Some of these questions make people uncomfortable. Not the people saying it, or not the people hearing it, people saying it. If you feel uncomfortable when you say it, they're going to hear it in an uncomfortable way. And I can tell you that when we deliver it just in a seeking to understand, hey, I hear you. What if I can just share that? It sounds like to me there's some reasons that you feel that are justified on why it didn't sell and why you didn't get what you want. And in my line of work, I feel like that responsibility, the problem you're talking about, is mine to take on my shoulders. It's part of the commission, so to speak. Out of curiosity, do you feel like accountability is really important in a business relationship? You hear how I drop the tone, right? And you hear how I empathetically or sympathetically come across. Hey, do you feel like, I don't want to be that hard-headed, rah, 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 let's get stuff done guy, but don't you think that there's a layer of accountability that's important? And you'll have people go, shit, yeah, it is. You'll hear them switch. And because we're having this conversation, what's the assumption? The assumption is I'm that way, which I am, or at least I'm trying to be, right? It's hard being an agent wearing all these hats. Going through into the send me some information. All I'm looking to do with anything. So Josh, what else could I send? All I'm looking to do is have something that is going to get in their hands, whether it via email, text, cell, call, voicemail, marketing piece. I just want something in their hand so that when I call them back in 7 days, because again, the send me some information is a knee jerk. Oh yeah, we're taking a break. We'll interview, send me some info. Right? It's a knee jerk. I'm not interested right now, but I don't want to be rude. So yeah, send me, I got a file. I'm going to put you, I love that. I have a lot of fun with that when they're like, I got a file going, send me a file. I say, oh my God, how big is this file? Your house just expired. There's probably 40,000 letters in it. How are you going to decide on the next volume of cabinetry that you're going to expand when you tell these agents to send you information? And they'll laugh, Goodness gracious, is it overflowing? Is it like the junk drawer in my kitchen? I don't know why I have 2-for-1 Panda Express coupons. I'm not going to go there. I get Trader Joe orange chicken all the time. So, so you just have fun with it, right? And they say, send me some info. You say, no problem. You do a sales pitch of why you're going to follow up and make yourself memorable, right? If you want them to remember you, you have to be memorable. And I want to get that card in their hand, because when I call them back in 7 days, it's my opportunity to treat it as if it's a brand new call and go to qualify. And I just use that as leverage. And it's pretty funny because when we sent the card, occasionally, some people call, hey, I got your card. I wanted to talk to you. Great, thank you. And let's talk about what challenges you're having. Other times I'll call and people are like, yeah, you an agent? And I'll laugh. I'll say, yeah, I'm the agent that sent you the Starbucks gift card. Did you get a cake pop? Maybe a little Frappuccino? Anything good? Oh yeah, what's going on? How are you? Oh, I'm doing lovely. Thank you for asking. Right? I'm just looking to pay $10, which is what the Starbucks gift card costs. I'm paying $10 so that when I call, they're like, I'll listen for a moment. Just give me a minute. If you're not impressed with what I say, no problem. I'm not the right fit for everybody. This stuff is all step by step of exactly how to update the file in Mojo so that when it sends the postcard, it's all ironed out correctly. The notes are all correct and stuff. Any questions so far on anything we've talked about? Any ahas, any affirmations? Anybody want to throw something in here? My mom's classic. So from a standpoint of the expired and canceled listings, when it comes to these conversations, you're going to go through layers. You're going to go through layers where you in the beginning, you're just trying to figure out what you're going to say, and you're learning exactly how you're going to say. Then you start to get that flow of, all right, now I know what I'm going to say. Now you work on the listening so that you're hearing the right cues and you're aiming at the right target, right? You're aiming at the right target, and using the same layering questions and the same things that you're getting through that conversation. And then once you get into that element and you really are listening to them, then the conversations really flow. The conversations really flow, and they're nowhere near as difficult. I mean, you can easily get in and get two really good. I was just talking to Surreal this morning about some of his progress and his success, and focusing on the fact that people call it a quantity game, right? Like it's a numbers game. You got to dial the numbers. It's more of a skill game than it is anything else. The skill dictates the numbers. You can literally dial for 20, 30 minutes and get two really good conversations that are nurtures that you can build value with, that can be added to the business pipeline. Because it's not just about, when we're prospecting, it's not just about getting a listing appointment today. We're hoping to get, an appointment set. That's our focus. That's our motivation. And I'll sell a home in 6 months, right? I want to build out that pipeline. I want to keep going. And then what happens is you end up doing the nurture. You end up doing 25% new prospecting, 75% nurturing, because you get so good at the skills that you don't need to outbound prospect all day. Is anybody in this group outside of the agents in my office actively calling expired listings every single day or paying for them currently? If you guys are I've talked about this with cancel and expireds. There's a lot of leverage in them, and so like in the course and what we were talking about, I mean, there's a bunch of different videos that we've gone over and that I've got in here. But one of the things that we talk about is the leverage that you get with this, and I've talked about why. We'll do that one. We'll do handling objections and curveballs training next week.